Welcome to This Explainer. Today we are jumping right in and taking a really close look at humanity's absolute favorite houseplant, Epipremnum aureum. We're going to peel back the familiar decorative layers of this vine you see everywhere and reveal the hidden, honestly prehistoric survival mechanics that are lurking right inside our homes.
So let's start with the names. You might know it as the money plant, the Ceylon creeper, or maybe the hunter's robe. But the most revealing one is that last kind of sinister title, the devil's ivy. Now that's not some cute nickname given by casual interior decorators. That is the actual title bestowed upon it by ecologists and botanists who have literally watched this exact species swallow entire ecosystems whole.
Section 1. The invincible houseplant.
Okay, let's establish a foundational truth right out of the gate. It earned the name the devil's ivy not because it's inherently evil or has some sort of malicious intent, but purely because it is virtually impossible to kill. I mean, think about it. Deprive it of light by sticking it in a dark, windowless room? It'll actually alter its own cellular structure just to catch the final, desperate photons available. Forget to water it for weeks, it simply draws from its internal reserves, completely stalling its growth, but absolutely refusing to die. And yet, if you place it in the wild, it aggressively turns into an apex climber, scaling hundreds of feet into the sky and choking out native flora.
It's honestly incredible when you contrast that intense biological drive with its modern reputation. What we are really dealing with here is a prehistoric survival mechanism completely hidden beneath a calm, sleek, decorative exterior. Today, this relentless survivor just sits quietly on minimal wooden shelves in millions of living rooms, offices, and coffee shops across the globe. There's a very good chance there's one resting perfectly tamed, just a few feet away from you right now.
Which brings us to Section 2, Origins in the Wild.
To truly comprehend what this plant is capable of, we've got to travel far past our domestic flower pots. We need to look closely at its evolutionary birthplace, and that journey brings us here, to the volcanic soils and the high-humidity rainforest understory of Moorea, a gorgeous island in French Polynesia. Out here in the Society Islands, the pothos behaves very differently than it does in your home. It doesn't just gracefully trail downward like a tame decoration from a hanging basket. Oh no, out here it actively and deliberately climbs.
Now, here is something most people don't realize. The familiar, delicate, heart-shaped trailing leaves we all buy at the local nursery? That is merely the juvenile stage of the plant. In the wild, when it finds a massive host tree trunk in the jungle, it transforms entirely into an adult, sprouting these gargantuan split leaves as it scales upward.
And just how large do those adult leaves get? 3 feet. Seriously, 3 feet wide. Stimulated by the gravitational shift of vertical climbing and the fierce hunt for sunlight way up high in the dense jungle canopy, these climbing wild leaves expand massively. It's a complete metamorphosis, triggered simply by the environment it finds itself in.
Let's look at Section 3, Anatomy of a Survivor.
You might be wondering, how do these massive 3-foot leaves keep from completely destroying the plant during the violent storms of the South Pacific? Well, we have to look at a phenomenon known as fenestration. Basically, this is the development of deep, natural splits right within the leaves. Think about the physics here. Without these splits, solid 3-foot leaves would act exactly like giant chip sails. In a tropical storm, they'd catch the intense wind, and the sheer force would tear the entire vine right away from its host tree. But by utilizing fenestration, tropical winds and incredibly heavy downpours just pass completely through the plant safely, keeping it super securely anchored.
And this is absolutely crucial, because it meant the plant was built to survive extreme island storms and, as it turns out, human cargo ships. This rugged biology, honed over millions of years of evolution in a chaotic, tropical environment, perfectly primed the pothos for its eventual globalization at the hands of humans.
That takes us to Section 4, the ecological juggernaut.
It was actually 19th century Western botanists who accidentally weaponized this island survivor and unleashed it upon the rest of the world. Starting from its evolutionary birthplace in Moorea, the plants entered the late 19th century global cargo ship trade. And why was it so highly favored by traders? Because it completely bypassed the fragile care requirements of things like exotic orchids or ferns. It could withstand weeks in pitch-dark, bone-dry cargo holds without a single drop of fresh water or a handful of soil. That made it an instant sensation for the masses, driving a massive modern global expansion that stretched everywhere from Florida to Sri Lanka.
But inevitably, the invincible houseplant escaped the garden. As it slipped out of controlled domestic settings and naturalized into tropical regions worldwide, humanity quickly learned a really harsh lesson. we realize that this perfectly tame, beloved decoration was actually an unstoppable ecological juggernaut, perfectly engineered to completely dominate any canopy it could reach.
As we wrap up this explainer on Epipremnum aureum, I want to leave you with a final thought. The next time you look at that quiet, beautiful little plant resting on your shelf, consider the ancient, calculating survivor we've just uncovered. We're talking about a species that literally pauses its own growth to cheat death and waits for the perfect moment to conquer. So ask yourself, who is really taming who? And more importantly, what is it simply waiting for?